Okay, by my watch, that is 5:01, so I will go ahead and bring this January 11, 2019 meeting of the Carson City Library Board of Trustees to order, and we can proceed with the roll call.
Chairperson Hayes.
Present.
Vice Chair Vice Chair Long.
Here.
Trustee Solinger. Trustee Patton.
Here.
Trustee Cranston. A quorum's present.
Thank you very much. With that, we'll move on to item 2, public comment. If any members of the public wish to address the library board, now would be the time. Please state your name for the record, along with your address.
Good evening. My name is Aubrey Rollette. I am your newly elected clerk recorder. So I wanted to come and introduce myself to you and put a face to the name and let you know if you have any questions, I'm here.
Thank you very much.
And she's awesome. Just throwing it out.
And I'm also going to comment in public comment. My name's Todd Reese. For those of you that haven't met, I'm happy to meet you. I'm your new assigned DDA for the year, I believe. So I look forward to working with you all.
Excellent. Thank you very much as well. Seeing no other members of the public forthcoming, we can move on to item 3, approval of the minutes of the previous meetings, starting with 5A, the minutes from the December 5th, 2018 special meeting. Have all the board members had a chance to review those minutes, and are there any changes or updates that need to be made?
I have reviewed them. I did not see any changes that needed to be made.
None for me.
In that case, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the minutes of the, did you say the December one? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay, the December 5th, 2018 special meeting.
I'll second.
Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. With that, we'll move on to 3B, approval of the minutes of the November 29th, 2018 regular meeting. Were those meeting minutes reviewed, and were there any updates?
None from me.
I don't believe I saw any either when I read them. So
In that case, I would entertain a motion.
I'll move that we approve the minutes of the November 29th meeting as presented.
I second.
Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. With that, we can move on to item 4, the Friends of the Carson City Library report.
Okay, I apologize. There is no report in your packet from the Friends this time. We were both, Patty and I, the store manager, were on vacation the latter part of December. So I will tell you that the total income from our holiday bazaar this year was a little over $4,000. And tomorrow we're having our annual meeting with election of officers. So after tomorrow, I will no longer be the president of the Friends of the Library. I have termed out.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that, Phyllis. With that, we can move on to item 5, the Library Board of Trustees business, starting with item 5A, discussion and possible action to appoint Diane Baker as the interim library director.
Okay, Sina Lloyd for the record. I'm not sure that anyone in this room doesn't know, but I will be departing the Carson City Library. And my resignation is in the packet as well as what you received back in December. I will continue to work at the library on the weekends to help transition through February 3rd. And so this is a request to appoint Diane Baker as the interim library director effective February 4th until a new library director is hired. Are there any questions?
I mean, in my opinion, that would make the most sense to appoint Diane as the interim director.
I think I'm happy about that.
Well, at least you'll give us continuity because you do know what's going on over there.
Indeed.
In lieu of further discussion, I would entertain a motion.
I move to appoint Diane Baker as the interim library director, effective February 4th, 2019, until a new library director is hired.
I will second that motion.
Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
And I just want to have on the record as well for that item that after 90 days of service in that higher level position, the resolution from the Board of Supervisors for unclassified staff has a 10% pay bump. We will have enough salary savings from my position to cover that.
Thank you for that. With that, we can move on to item 5B, presentation, discussion, and possible action to select one or more of the following options to facilitate the process of recruiting a new library director.
Okay, so we do have in the audience Megan McCarthy, who is here from HR, and she will be helping do the recruitment process. However, due to the nature of our recruitment and the way we have board meetings and all of those pieces, we've been asked by Human Resources to provide an individual, whether it be a library staff member, a trustee, myself after I've left, or a third-party recruitment firm to take you guys through that recruitment process. And I know my option is on here, but I actually am going to take that off the table. I would like to have some of my time back to myself after this month. So I do recommend that you either appoint one of yourselves if you're comfortable communicating with HR on that directly, or that you appoint a library staff member to do that. And if you do appoint a staff member, my recommendation would be to appoint a manager.
Well, you blew my plan. Thanks a lot, Sina.
Yeah, I think that all of the trustees were
Gonna pick
leaning toward option 2 with that, because we know that no one is going to have the best interest of the library in mind to the extent that you're going to going forward.
And I do appreciate that, but with the schedule that I will be holding, I don't know when I would have the availability to meet with HR, and I think that could hamper the process.
Right.
Okay, and that makes sense. I mean, I think also having either one of us or somebody on the staff on that would probably be the best, would be my vote.
Okay, as a point of information for you, a very recent determination of mine is that I will not be seeking the library director position. So I will be available to assist on that.
Okay. Do we know, like, so, just out of curiosity, in the past when we've recruited, have we hired a firm?
The past recruitment did not, but it was an external national recruitment facilitated by Human Resources and at the time the interim library director. Prior to that, I'm not able to answer.
I will tell you that this will be my third library director to choose. The first two that I dealt with, we did not hire a third-party person. We did have the national recruitment with both of them, I believe, but it was Human Resources that handled the.
Okay.
I also do want to note on page 58 on the bottom of my report, I did provide to you a potential timeline for what this looks like. So if you guys want to refer to that, that could help you in making that decision.
I think this kind of makes sense, especially from what I remember before, and especially since you have to wait for the approval of the Board of Supervisors for the change in salary and everything. It's going to take us some time.
I want to clarify that. There is no approval needed from the Board of Supervisors to move forward with recruiting this position.
Okay.
It's already been taken to Internal Finance Committee, and if you guys decide to hire above the bottom one-third of that rate, then you have to seek reapproval for that.
Okay.
And if you want to adjust the budget to hire above what is budgeted, then you would have to go.
Right, okay.
So, the way that I see it, in lieu of being able to talk Cena into either just not going or helping with the recruitment, my thought that would be that Diane would probably be the best to handle this recruitment process. She's got the most, probably the best understanding of A, the process, and B, what we're really looking for in a library director. That's my thought.
I think my only concern, not that I don't think Diane is the best person to do it, because I agree. My only concern is just your time and taking on the additional duties, being the interim in addition. That's my only concern. Like, what are your thoughts?
Diane Baker, for the record. I do appreciate that, and it will be a lot. I think once we get a few positions hired, we're going to be able to move forward. And in the short term, yes, probably the first month or so will be a little hectic. But if we are able to get a couple of these other things settled and in place, it would come down to a dull roar to deal with it.
I also do want to note that essentially after your actions today, the position would be then posted based on, in a later action item, when you would decide for that to be posted, and HR would actually take care of that piece. And then it would be within recruitment for a period of time that you have determined as well. So within this coming month to probably 2 months, you're not looking at a lot of work on the library's end for the recruitment process itself. Just updates from HR, knowing how many applications, those types of things.
Right, so it sounds like there would be some time for the dust to settle with these other recruitments. Okay.
Are you ready then?
Yeah, in that case, if there's no further discussion on this item, I would entertain a motion.
I move to appoint Diane Baker to coordinate directly with the Carson City Human Resources Department and provide periodic updates to the board regarding the process. I want to say the recruitment process.
I'll second that.
Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. With that, we can move on to item 5C, revising the job description for the position of library director, including salary range.
Okay, so what you see in your packet, the first job description is the original job description for the position that I was hired under. It has had pretty much no changes in the last 5 years. The second job description that you'll see in your packet, starting on page 34, does have some changes. I'm sorry that those changes were not redlined. The actual document we uploaded was redlined, so I'm not sure what technical issue or glitch happened there. But the changes to the position were changes that were, one, requested by our chief deputy DA, as well as human resource director. And I mean, they were not substantial changes. There were a couple changes that I had recommended and requested into that. That was adding the program for the Special Library Services Program and for Economic Development at the Adams Hub as a responsibility, as well as clarified some of the lobbying language so that we can ensure that somebody who is coming in is able to do that on the behalf of the library and the library board. And then what you'll also see here is the salary range for the position. Like I said, you can hire within the bottom 1/3 of that salary range, and that is currently approved for the board to do. If you want to hire outside of that, then since you've appointed Diane as the interim director and the liaison, then that would go to the Internal Finance Committee once you've made that decision for a request. And if it's within budget, the Internal Finance Committee makes that decision. If it is not within budget, then you would have to request a budget augmentation, and that would most likely need to go before the Board of Supervisors.
Where's the salary range on the?
So it's on
This is the new
page.
one?
It's on page 20.
29?
That's the first one is the old one. It's the correct salary range.
Oh, okay.
It is?
Yes, and it's on page 28 under your possible action under the staff summary. So it's under the action item as well. And so what we're asking you to approve here is that you approve the job description, that you provide authorization of posting the job on the date that you would like it posted, and not to exceed an amount with a posting period to expire on a date.
Well, I guess how long do we want it open? Phyllis?
And
Look to you.
And for the amount, what we're looking at is not the salary range in which you're hiring. I want to clarify that. That is, the American Library Association does national job postings, and we would like to post the position there. And on page 33, you will see the amounts of the postings for that as well. And we are non-members, because you have to be institutional members, which is expensive.
So now, can we combine these to a 60-day for the cost of 900 for the enhanced? Is that how that works? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe that we've heard that there's a recommended length of time of about 2 months. Is that what you would recommend?
Okay. I would recommend that amount of time. I think 30 days is too short of an amount of time to get interest and then and then have somebody actually apply for that. We have also worked up that I'm going to show you here a recruitment piece that is 11 by 17. It's 4 pages, if you will. So the "We're Hiring" is the front page of that, and then the "Welcome to Carson City" is the back page, and then the internal pages have the example of duties, the salary range, qualifications, and contact information.
Will Human Resources be posting this in other places as well as the National Library?
So the library would be posting it at the American Library Association. Human Resources will only be posting it on their job board. And then it would be the responsibility of the library as well as anybody with social media to share that if they have the ability to do so.
I would say at least 60 days. I mean, we can always extend that.
I don't think you would want less than.
No.
Yeah, that would make sense to me to go at least 60 days with the option of extending, which we could do at a future board meeting, correct?
Yeah, I would say that if you would at the February board meeting be able to make a determination if you have the qualified candidates that you feel that you would want to move forward with. And if not, then you could extend that recruitment.
So you're suggesting 30 days at a time then, instead of saying flat out 60?
No, because we're on January 11th right now, and your next board meeting's not till end of February. So I would recommend 60 days, and then if you want to extend it for another 30.
That's my thinking.
Is there any discussion on the job posting versus enhanced job posting that's offered by the service?
Well, I like that the enhanced stays near the top of the board. I think that is probably worth it. And that it's highlighted too. I think that's a good option.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well.
How soon can we have it? What's the earliest we can start posting?
I would recommend that you ask HR to post potentially at some point next week, since it is Friday night. So,
I mean, not tonight.
Do they need a specific date?
yeah, there's a sample motion,
Okay.
and you can fill that in and then give the motion. They are ready to post, so when you do give the date, then it's not going to be a lot of time.
Okay.
So.
So the not to exceed amount is the amount that we're willing to pay the service, correct?
Yes.
So if we were to do that for 2 months, it'd be 900.
Right.
So
And then
January, March.
till March 14th.
At this point, I'm going to jump in and just ask the board members to make sure that their comments are close enough to the microphone so that they can be heard.
Sorry. Ciphering dates and all that.
So, let's see.
Not today's sale.
It doesn't calculate it for me. I don't know if that's a true 60 days if you just go to March 14th. I don't know if that's a true 60 days.
You can amend the motion. You could say something to the lines of, with the posting period to expire 60 days from posting.
Okay.
Oh. That's so much easier.
Then they can figure it out, right?
60 days.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. If there's no further discussion on that item, then I would entertain a motion.
Okay.
I'll do it.
Where is the motion? What page is that?
Oh,
It's page 28.
I move to approve the revised job description for the library director position and authorize the posting of the job beginning January 14th for an amount not to exceed $900 with the posting period to expire 60 days from the start of posting. Does that make sense?
I'll second that motion.
Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, hearing none, the motion carries. And with that, we can move on to item 5D, to recommend to the Board of Supervisors approval, or that the Board of Supervisors approve a payment for annual services received from the Nevada Library Cooperative.
Thank you, Diane Baker. For the record, what you have before you is the annual payment or invoice from the Nevada Library Cooperative, formerly the Cooperative Libraries Automated Network. And this is for our annual cost for our integrated library system and related services that come with it. It is late this year. There were some issues at the state library, and a number of these bills and a few other things have been delayed coming through, so this is a little later than normal. The reason that this does have to go to the Board of Supervisors, it exceeds the $50,000 limit. However, we are covered also with the cost limit that is in our cooperative agreement, and the cooperative agreement does run through the end of this fiscal year. Any questions?
No, I think we talked about this at a prior meeting, right?
We've talked about this before, yes.
Okay.
Annually.
Yeah. Like recently, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Because before it's been below the $50,000 limit, so they haven't had to do that. So, is there any, you want me to go ahead and make a motion?
Sure.
All righty. I move to recommend that the Board of Supervisors approve a payment to the Nevada Library Cooperative for a not-to-exceed amount of $52,033.70.
I second that motion.
Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing none, the motion carries. With that, we can move on to item 5E, discussion and possible action to approve an amendment to contract number 1819107 with Molly Dahl for the business entrepreneur instruction.
Thank you, Diane Baker, for the record again. And this is the contract where we have Molly running the program with the high school. This extends, the last one that we had went to December 31st. This extends it on, and it does keep most of the services going that she has been performing for us. This also is tied to a contract. We have a contract with the school district where they do pay $10,000 towards this particular program as well.
Looks good to me.
I don't see any issues with extending this contract.
Just an extension of what we already have.
Yeah.
They want to cover it.
Right. Barring further discussion, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the amendment to the contract with Molly Dahl.
I'll second.
Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing none, the motion carries. With that, we can move on to item 5F, discussion and possible action to approve an amendment to contract 1819-035 with Matt Westfield.
Thank you, Diane Baker, for the record again. And this is an additional contract extension with Matt Westfield. He has been our entrepreneur in residence and has been handling different services, including what you see in the scope of work, individual appointments with participants at the Adams Hub for Innovation. Also, he works with Entrepreneurs Assembly and some other services that are included in what you see. Again, his contract had run up to December 31st. This is extending to June 30.
I don't have any questions.
I have no questions either.
Okay, in that case, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the amendment to the contract for Matt Westfield for the stated amount.
I second that motion.
Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. And with that, I believe we are through all of the action items, and we can go to item 6A, the presentation and discussion, the library director administrative reports.
Okay, so this will be the last report that I give to you. I will miss all of you guys, but I will still be here in Carson City, and I will be a library patron, so you won't hear, this is not the last you'll hear from me. I promise. That's not a threat. I promise that too. Yeah, I can give public comment. So what you have in your report really is just a personnel update and then the possible timeline for the library director recruitment. Personnel updates, I just want to give a congratulations and a shout out and a thank you to Maria Cuesta for accepting the creative learning manager position and staying on with us at the library. And then she has a really amazing exhibit that's going to be coming into the library, Discover Earth. So looking forward to that with some anticipation. The last exhibit we had that was similar was Discover Tech, Engineers Make a World of Difference, and that was just about 5 years ago. So we do have 2 positions vacant. We have filled that 3rd position. So our vacant position is the business development manager. And that position closes today. We also have the creative learning librarian position, which closes today. It sounds like Diane might have an update for the librarian and access services.
I do. On the access services, our initial choice just declined or rescinded their acceptance today. So we are going to the next individual on the list. So we hope to have that filled next week, but it is not for certain at this point.
And both of those librarian positions are to fill for those individuals who've been promoted to manager level positions within the organization. And then additional news, Sandra Devaney, who has been our senior library assistant, she has decided that she's going to retire. And so we do have a date for that retirement, and that position will be going to the Internal Finance Committee next week for approval to fill, and we are going to fill that as a list just in case. We do potentially foresee other items on the horizon that would allow us to then hire from that list, but we are going to try to hire that position prior to her departure so that we can have cross-training for the individual coming on board. It may be difficult to do within the time frame that we were given, but we will try. Other than that, that's really all I have. I can go through the timeline for you if you would like a little bit more information, just kind of how, this is also my observation about how it went when I was essentially an employee here and then was offered the position as a director. So once you have a good idea of who is going to compete for interviews, essentially. You will want to approve competencies. That's in the interview architect platform. And that is something that we probably will ask HR to come and present on so that you guys are aware of what that is. But it is a really great way to look at what type of attributes you would like in your next director. And then essentially applying that to interview questions so that you can try to get the best idea of who that person is from that interview. And then you would move to have the designee create those questions and a scoring matrix for that process. We do still have the matrix from before, and I'm sure HR would help in that process of ensuring that we had all the proper paperwork in place. And then you would narrow the candidates and then interview the candidates and select a new director, or you would request that position be reopened if none of the candidates met your approval. So that does all happen in an open meeting. As my reviews happen in an open meeting. So, just be prepared for that process to be happening right here in this room. So hopefully a little refreshed at that point in time. Other than that, do you guys have any questions about the process? Okay. So with that, I'm done with the state of the library report.
Thank you very much. We can go ahead and move to the budgets.
Okay, so you will have in your packet a printed out image of the dashboard. Can you go ahead and open that up? There's the next page is the widget link. Yeah. So, we're still all right. We're about a half of the way through the year, though, as we've talked about before, the city budget, we're not quite caught up to midway through the year.
It's not.
And then in your packet, you do have the link to that widget. But the next page, which is page 62, I would like to just draw your attention to this. This is a new report for you, and it's something that was requested through the donation agreement with the Hoppin May Adams Foundation, and it's a P&L statement for the Adams Hub. And so this might give, and I thought that if we're providing it to them, we may as well provide that to you, because it may give you better insight to the fiscal activities that are happening over at Adams Hub by looking at it in this manner. Are there any questions on that report specifically?
No, I think that this makes sense. Nope.
Okay, and then what you'll see on page 63, as the computer says, 50% of the year lapsed. That is our general fund, and we are pretty well set in there. There are a couple line items that we are at or just a little bit over, and we've reviewed those prior. One of those is the earthquake strapping that we did put on the new shelves that we received from Western Nevada College, which was a requirement for the shelving that type of shelving that we received. Sorry, I'm identifying the next report. Hold on. As you will see on page 65, we have our grant funding, which we are good with our grant funding there. We will see a augmented budget for our grant and gift funds probably within the next 1 or 2 reporting cycles. They do that twice a year, and so at the beginning of the year, if we haven't guesstimated what we might receive in that grant funding, it's not going to be reflected in the budget. We hope that improves with the new system that will be coming next year. You'll then see the library gift fund. Again, we are underspent in those areas on purpose. We are trying to manage that fund, especially with the Friends of the Library giving us a set amount each year for specific things that we have asked for. So on that topic real quick, the Friends of the Library will be voting on what they will be providing to the library for this upcoming fiscal year tomorrow at the Friends of the Library meeting. And we have requested in our letter an amount that exceeds the amount that I expect that we will receive from the Friends. But it is the amount that we need to be able to do the level of work that we do, how we do it. And so going forward, the interim library director through the budgeting process, as well as hopefully the new director, will use that information to help try to fund other projects that we've deemed need funding. So with that, are there any questions?
Thank you very much, Sina, for everything over the
Yes.
years.
You're welcome.
All right.
Chair, before we go on, Mr. Chair, excuse me. Before we go on, I wanted to just put on the record, there was a question raised about the open meeting law and public comment. The bare minimum public comment that the open meeting law requires is a comment period in the beginning and a comment period in the end. However, you can ask for public comment after each agenda item if you prefer. So in the future, before the next meeting, I'll confer with you on that and ask what you prefer so that I can keep you on track.
Excellent, thank you. All right, I have lost my spot. Okay. There it is. Okay. Sorry, I lost my spot. With that, we can move on to item 7, our other administrative reports, starting with the grants and admin report.
Thank you. Diane Baker for the record. And I'd like to bring you up to date on a couple of things. One is strategic planning. You have seen our preparation for this and approved our request for proposal and the like, and we are underway with Dr. Fred Steinman from the University, Economic Development Center at UNR. And we have, you should have received some information already in emails regarding strategic planning workshops. I also have cards to distribute to you today that has the link for the survey that is going to be going, that's underway. It was released yesterday, and that will be going for a minimum of 3 weeks. To collect data from our community to get a nice broad base of information. We're looking forward to some pretty exciting input through the workshops and really interested to see how this is going to be directed by Dr. Steinman, especially with the economic development kind of tack that they bring to this process for us. The series of workshops will be running through March, and then he will be assembling all the information from the survey, from the workshops, and preparing reports for us for our strategic plan.
Just a note on that, if there are more than 2 of you going to one of those sessions, Diane needs to be made aware of that at least 10 days in advance so we can post accordingly.
Which that does make for interesting for the January the 19th. So if yes, that one's coming up very quickly. So I guess if there's we could make the posting. We could still make that posting if you can let me know today. And there's more to the story here. If you don't have any questions regarding strategic planning.
Oh, I do.
Oh,
Sorry.
sorry. Okay, please.
Okay, so for the sessions that are planned for January, February, March, are they all different? Are they all going to be the same? So like if I attend one?
No, they are sequential.
Okay.
Is the how he's set it up. So there'll be some overlap, but the first 3 are pretty significant. I think they're really that shows 7 hours, 6 hours. They are providing snacks. There's lunch involved. There is a request for RSVP for that purpose. So they are not the same.
Okay.
But there will be overlap.
The details and RSVP information is on our calendar and on there's Facebook events, so you can check those out.
Yes. Any other questions about strategic planning? Okay. The last tidbit that I have there, just to update on grants, most of these are very on track with the micro grants, that's the same. The second item that we have there where we sent in a proposal for LSTA funds, the Deputy State Librarian has withdrawn the competitive round of grants for this fiscal year. And I will, that we received a letter, I will forward that on to you. I did not have that for you today. However, it was mostly due to internal decisions. And so we'll be looking forward to federal fiscal 2020, although at the moment with the government shutdown, FY 2019 is kind of on hold for a lot of things on this anyway. There will still be some what they call micro grants, and we will be applying for every single one that we're eligible for on that. And also to update you on CDBG, our eligibility was accepted. However, the committee did not want to move forward with our particular idea. The person at the Carson City Grants Office thought that it was actually a great idea. I forwarded to her the source of some other libraries that are using social workers in libraries, and she offered to do some groundwork to find some potential funding avenues, which I very much appreciate at this time. So we'll be looking to see if we can pursue that with a different funding source. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Diane. With that, we can move on to item 7B, the collection development update.
Amy Lauder, Collection Development Manager for the record. First off, we finally have a library email newsletter again after several years. And that's due to we were able to subscribe to a service that facilitates the management of the emails and the subscribers, as well as it gives us both the opportunity to create our own newsletters to promote our individual events and things like that, but it also connects with our catalog and our novelist select subscriptions to provide automated reading recommendation newsletters that their staff on the vendor's end compile so that we don't have to do it. So that's really nice. So it provides that extra level of service to our patrons without more work for us, which is always great. So make sure you're signed up. Links on our website. And so we're going to be trying to send out a regular monthly newsletter between myself and Maria and other staff who have content to provide, as well as, like, you'll probably see an email blast soon with our updates on our strategic planning process and the ways that the community can participate in that. So that's going to be really helpful. My second update is for our state collection development grant. We originally applied for or proposed our project for this back in October, but we had, I think, about 2.5 days to get a proposal together. So we weren't terribly excited about it, but it's money, we'll use it. And that's a yearly grant we get from the state each year. But a few weeks back, last month, we did a tour of the Carson City Boys, or the Western Nevada Boys and Girls Club location, which we have been providing library materials at that location for several years. Originally, I think it started with our one of these book vending machines we had a grant for, which was pretty fun, but the machine didn't really last. So it was replaced by a human. James is a favorite over there every week. He goes over and helps kids check out books. And talks with them and hangs out with them. They have a lot of fun, but they just don't have very many books over there. You can see in the photos I've provided, there's 2 different spaces. They have a separate teen area. Their primary area is the for the younger, probably elementary to middle grade kids. And you see there's some bookshelves and they have books on them. If you get up in close there, it's kind of not a very happy sight. It's like the books are worn out, they're falling apart. A lot of them are just old donations, things like that, and they're just not what the kids are excited about as well. And then over on the side, you can kind of maybe see in that tiny, tiny little picture behind the table, there's a cart of the library books that we've been providing. The rest are unprocessed donated items. So we have, I think it's about $11,000 from this state grant, which is kind of a lot to push into our collection without making a good bit of space. But there's a huge opportunity in this space for us to provide materials to our patrons in that location. So we've talked to some of the people over there about doing this project. So we're going to be looking at providing those library materials in the space. And again, the teen space, one tiny bookshelf with a few kind of random books on it. So getting some good stuff in that the kids want to read. And they are hoping to also leverage that to talk to some of their other donors and other resources and kind of refresh their spaces and furniture and things like that. So it's a huge opportunity for us to reach more people and for them to really make their space wonderful and inviting and well used and all that stuff. So we're hoping to get up at least 750 new books in that space, potentially more depending on what goes on. But we have at least that amount to play with this year. So that's going to really help bolster that collection and get a good core collection going for them. So we're pretty excited about that. And the state, we proposed the change to the state library, and they approved it. They're very excited about it as well. I talked to Norma a little bit, and she really loved it. So it's all going forward. So yeah, any questions about that?
Don't have any questions, but I have a donation of books I can offer.
We'll talk to you about that, yeah.
I'm not sure about the teen collection because we don't get quite as many of those donations, but we got elementary school age
Okay.
kid books coming out of
Yeah.
our ears.
Yeah, so like that's the other thing, we can definitely leverage our connection with the friends and
Yeah.
do a little shopping with you guys. So, you know, there's a few opportunities.
I would just say that I think the Boys and Girls Club is a really good partner with the library for the teen programs that we offer as well. Like, it's probably a really good.
Yeah, I think we have some of our creative learning staff also expressed interest in doing more programming with
Yeah.
them in that
They
space
have a really
as well.
good.
So
Yeah, they have a large. And then on the newsletter, I would my input on that would be that I think we should also feature some of the services, like our online services, like the,
Yeah, and
lynda.com.
that's pretty
and
easy to do
all of
as
that.
well with this. Yeah.
So we can adjust it for that.
Oh,
Yeah, because I think that would be a
absolutely.
great idea. I know a lot
Yeah.
of people I talk to in the community, they don't realize a lot of the resources that we have other than just books at the library. And so I'm always telling them that. So I think this is a great avenue to
Yeah.
plug that.
For sure. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Amy. With that, we'll move on to item 7C, the Access Services Update.
Irma Reinhardt, Access Services Manager for the record. So recently I had the opportunity to go to the state library and learn about 360 video, how it works and how to actually record in 360. So our wonderful instructor from XR Libraries, who we've been partnering with, walked several of us from libraries around the state through the process of recording in 360, talked about the different types of cameras, taught us how to use Adobe Premiere to edit our 360 video. So I was super excited, and I think it's extremely helpful that I attended this in terms of implementing future programs in the library and even possibly circulating. I know we do have 360 cameras at our library, so this is something that we might be able to move forward with. Additionally, we were given an Oculus Rift, which is another VR platform similar to the HTC Vive. It is a little bit different. It's smaller. Doesn't take up as much room, and it does have a bit more content to access. And then I just wanted to add, we are looking to partner with the Boys and Girls Club with our VR that we currently have. And I've been working with Maria in Creative Learning to move forward on that. And then we also will be hopefully moving forward with a project at the Carson High School to implement VR and integrate that technology into their curriculum. So that's all I have. Are there any questions?
No, that's very cool.
You should say something about the training you're going to. The training you're going to.
Oh, and then I will also be going to a training on blockchain technology over at UNR. Basically, they're going to walk or teach us about what blockchain is, its uses, how it's being used currently, and what the future holds. So I'm hoping to get something out of that and maybe hopefully one day implement something with that in the library.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ermel. We'll look forward to your update about that training and more about blockchain. With that, we'll move on to item 7D, our creative learning update.
Maria Cuesta, Creative Learning Manager for the record. So last month I accepted the Creative Learning Manager position, so I'm very excited to be moving forward with the library. I started off here as a librarian in the Access Services Department, then moved to Creative Learning as a librarian, so I'm just very excited about the opportunities that we have for programming and outreach here in the community. We also have another member who has joined our team. That's Jana Wersma. She is our new library assistant. And she started off here as a library shelver, moved as a part-time assistant in admin. And so she just started last week, and she's doing fantastic so far. We're doing a lot of training, so it's going well. And then the second piece I have is a program we did last month called Mother Nature, Nature's Musical Symphony. And we partnered with Maureen Conlin, who owns a business called Happy Notes, but this was through a different setting. She received a grant for the arts from the Arts for Children of Nevada, and they sponsored the event, and we had about 25 children and parents attend. And basically it involved songs, musical activities about nature, an instrument petting zoo, recycled rhythm, and it focused on nature itself overall. So, but it was a really great turnout.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Maria. With that, we can move on to item 8, board member announcements and requests for information. Did any board members have anything that they wanted to bring up at this time? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to item 9, public comment. If any members of the public wish to address the Library Board of Trustees, now will be the time. Seeing none forthcoming, we'll move on to item 10, adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We are adjourned.